is Dave Stotts, and I'm the host of a show called Drive Through History. My job has taken me to a lot of amazing places that have been written about in the history books. But today I'll be talking about the amazing history of a book. The most influential book ever written, in fact, the Bible.
Hello, David. Nice landing, as usual.
Thanks, Eitan. Hatzor was once the largest stronghold city in northern Canaan. When the Israelites arrived, they needed to conquer the city. Here you can see the ruins of Hatzor from the time of Joshua's conquest, as described in the book of Joshua. The book of 1 Kings tells us that about 400 years later, King Solomon rebuilt and fortified Hatzor to be a stronghold city of his own. If you come here today, you can see remains that go back to the Israelites, a gate to the city, huge storehouses, and a major water system. Archaeological sites like this allow us to connect the past to the present. Discoveries are being made every day that help us better understand the Bible. Many have said that the Bible is one of the most incredible stories in history. But there's another incredible story to be told. That is the astonishing history of the Bible's transmission and survival over the centuries.
Okay, wonderful to see you, David.
Thanks, Eitan. Despite war, burning, persecution, and pillaging, the Bible has pressed on to become the perennial bestseller of all time. Okay. The ruins at Hatzor allow us to discover the world where the ancient Israelites lived. While residing in towns like these, they passed down their stories they recorded in biblical books such as Joshua, Kings, Samuel, and Jeremiah. In time, accounts were written down, copied, and shared through the centuries. In the last century, we uncovered the earliest biblical manuscripts ever found, remarkable evidence for the history of the written Bible. In 1946, on the northwest shore of the Dead Sea, Bedouin shepherds made one of the greatest manuscript discoveries of all time here in these caves, the Dead Sea Scrolls. They are comprised of the remains of hundreds of separate scrolls, represented by tens of thousands of fragments. Based on various dating methods, we know that most of the Dead Sea Scrolls were originally produced between 200 BC and AD 70. Making them collectively the oldest examples of the Hebrew Bible to survive anywhere in the world. Some of the biblical texts discovered here above Qumran are in substantial agreement with the Masoretic text, which is used as the basis for many translations of the Hebrew Bible we still read today. The Dead Sea Scrolls demonstrate their careful transmission over time. Now let's continue on to the New Testament of the Bible and travel to Rome for the next part of our journey. The central focus of the New Testament of the Christian Bible is a man known as Jesus of Nazareth and the church founded in his name. The Gospel of Luke tells us that as Caesar Augustus ruled from here in Rome, Jesus was born in the small Judean town of Bethlehem. He had a short ministry in Galilee and Judea, and he was crucified just outside the walls of Jerusalem. Soon after, stories of his resurrection spread from Israel throughout the entire Roman Empire. Here in Rome, emperors such as Nero, Trajan, and Diocletian were threatened by the spread of Christianity and did everything they could to suppress it. By about AD 325, the growing influence of Christianity finally won out, when Roman Emperor Constantine, whose arch you can see right behind me, commissioned the production of 50 complete Bibles. In 382, Pope Damasus I asked a scholar named Jerome to produce one standard Latin text of the Gospels. Later, Jerome was here in Bethlehem, where he spent the rest of his life as a hermit in a cave. It was here where he and a few associates completed the Latin version of the Hebrew Bible in about AD 405. By the end of the 16th century, Jerome's entire Latin version, known as the Vulgate, would be reconfirmed as the official Latin Bible of the Roman Catholic Church. For the next 1,000 years or so, we're in the Middle Ages, or what some call the Dark Ages. During this period, the main story surrounding the Bible was the translation and preservation of the text. Small groups of dedicated monks and scribes, often living in desolate places around the world, would hand copy the biblical texts. Despite raids, wars, fires, and diseases, the biblical manuscripts survived. During these years, early rabbis compiled Jewish laws on a variety of topics based on the written Torah and the oral tradition. Rabbis collected laws in the Mishnah. This document was discussed by sages and collected in 2 versions of the Talmud. Together, these documents served as authoritative interpretations of the laws and teachings of the Hebrew Bible for future generations. During the Middle Ages, rabbinic scholars such as Rashi and Maimonides wrote key commentaries and philosophical works related to the study of the Torah and the rest of Jewish tradition. It remained only for the invention of printing to make Jewish traditional texts accessible to all who wished to study them. Near the end of the Middle Ages, a man named Johannes Gutenberg, born here in Mainz, Germany, developed his version of movable metal type, a type casting machine, and an oil-based ink printer. Using the text of Jerome's Vulgate, Gutenberg and his partner began printing the Latin Bible in 1452. Despite financial issues and delays, they completed the first Gutenberg Bible by early 1454. The first printing of the Gutenberg Bible really demonstrated the beginnings of mass Bible production, and within 50 years, approximately 100,000 Bibles were in print. As printing advanced and presses started operating around Europe, Bible translations in languages other than Latin began to grow in popularity. During the early 16th century, scholars such as Erasmus, Luther, and Tyndale came on the scene and created a whole new wave of Bibles in Greek and in common languages such as German and English. By the mid-16th century, another 5 English translations were published, including King Henry VIII's Great Bible, the Coverdale Bible, the Matthew Bible, the Geneva Bible, and the Bishop's Bible. In the early 17th century, the first edition of the King James Bible was published in England, portions of which were translated here at Westminster Abbey. When the King James Bible was combined with the power of the printing press and worldwide colonialism, it soon became the first global Bible. It dominated that position for over 300 years. During the 19th and 20th centuries, Bible societies and Bible translations took off. Today, the Bible has been translated into over 500 different languages. Some of these languages didn't even have a written form until the translation of the Bible. The Bible has been carefully transmitted through time, technology, and culture, from rare manuscripts to near universal accessibility. The Bible is continually being researched and more fully understood through new discoveries. Many people think that the further we progress from the ancient world of the Bible, the more disconnected we become from this old book. But actually, today's science is helping us better understand how carefully the Bible has been transmitted through time. The latest technologies and imaging techniques are now providing an even greater understanding of the history of the Bible.